Bogert's Big Five. We start with number 5, a matchup that really piqued my interest. FC Dallas hosting a certain someone?
Yeah, let's go with number 5, the Hipster game of the weekend. We're not going to be talking about the big teams in this one or the biggest kind of storylines. I like this as a Hipster game. Dallas versus Chicago Fire. FC Dallas, this is pretty simple for me. Peter Musa, Lucho Acosta is one of the very best attacking duos in Major League Soccer. It's new, it's fresh. My intrigue is absolutely there. I'm going to be watching as much FC Dallas as I can to see how these two incredible players get along, how they create chances. On the other side of the game, Chicago Fire. Game number 3 under Greg Berhalter. Jonathan Bamba looks absolutely legit to start the season. Hugo Kuipers is an excellent center forward. And don't forget, when Greg Berhalter was the Columbus Crew, every single season, all of his center forwards had their best career year. Ola Kamara, Jossie Zardes, Kai Kamara, all 3 of them. So Hugo Kuipers, $12 million signing, a club record signing. He's going to score a lot of goals this season.
All right, talk to me about number 4. Galaxy. When is Los Angeles Galaxy going to get this party started? Because it's been a rough start to the season. I can't imagine saying, hey, we're just going to wait for Ricky Puig to get back healthy in August.
So, yeah, can the Galaxy get their season started? They've played 3 competitive matches, 0 wins, 1 goal scored. That's not good enough, particularly in this attack. Without Ricky Puig, without Joseph Paintsel, still have Gabriel Peck, still have Marco Royce. Marco Royce, we have not seen enough from him this season so far. He's supposed to be shouldering the load until Ricky Puig gets back in the summer. I will say, I'm not worried about this team in 2025. 1, because Puig will be back, but even well before that. When Joseph Paintsel is back, when a couple of these new signings have more time to settle in, you have Christian Ramirez up top. You have Lucas Sanabria, $5 million rising Uruguayan talent. You have Elijah Widener coming from Louisville City. There's a lot of really good players on this team. I trust the talent. I trust Greg Vanny. I trust the system. I think we'll see better from Marco Royce, but even if not, Joseph Paintsel will be back maybe in a month or so. So the Galaxy, can they start to get it right? They have Herediano in the CONCACAF Champions Cup midweek. They're down 1-0. They need to come back to win that leg. And then they're playing St. Louis this weekend. St. Louis, 0 goals scored over their first 2 games, so they've got their own issues.
Yeah, Chuck, you and I were talking about a player in Christian Ramirez. That is a big ask for a guy to replace the likes of Dejan Joveljic. So we'll see. As he goes, I think this team will really go to another level.
I think we're going to see. I'm not worried at all about Christian Ramirez because the way that he played with Cucho in Columbus, that's what I see with him, with Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel. Those are 2 DP wingers. Those are $20 million worth of players. Christian Ramirez is going to score goals, but he's also going to fit in and help accentuate those 2 players. So I think when this front 3 gets time together, when Joseph Paintsel comes back again, when Christian Ramirez has some more minutes underneath his belt, I think that they're going to be absolutely fine.
Okay, we're going to go to the Eastern Seaboard. We're talking about West Coast. We're going to go East Coast. Talk to me about Charlotte FC. Coming off a big win against Atlanta United, Wilfried Zaha doing his thing, man of the match, crown of the match performance. You were in the house to witness it. What does this week hold for them? Because this is another big matchup.
Yeah, big test for Charlotte FC. They go to place Inter Miami. Caveat aside, we don't know if Messi's going to play, and Javier Mascherano, I'm assuming he's likely to rotate this weekend with leg 2 against Cavalier coming up. So again, maybe there'd be no Suarez. I don't know. Charlotte doesn't care either. This is a big game. They want to show the league they are serious. Last season, they were among the best defensive units in the league. All those players are back. Tim Ream and Adilson Malanda. Adilson Malanda is the best young center back in MLS. He's one of the best center backs, period, in this league. This is a future Premier League type player, whether it's directly from Charlotte to the Premier League or directly from Charlotte to a European contender, like Europa League, Champions League, whatever. Like, he's going to be potentially a league record transfer fee for a defender. So keep an eye on that player. But again, Wilfried Zaha is the man for this team. They married that elite defensive unit with a special attacker. One source I was talking to at the club thinks Zaha last weekend, maybe 60%. And I agree with that. He was in England with his family after the birth of a child. He doesn't train all week. He flies back. They have an afternoon game on Saturday. Doesn't matter. Goal and an assist and a win.
That's a clean crown. By the way, I love number 2. This for me is probably the biggest game of the weekend. Seattle Sounders taking on LAFC. It feels like LAFC have had a really strong start to the season, winning 3-0 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against the Columbus Crew. And Seattle Sounders seems like Jordan Morris is pulling the strings up top. What do you think of this?
My only disappointment about this game is that both of these teams are in CONCACAF Champions Cup. I wish that this was a week where they didn't have midweek games and it wasn't sandwiched between leg 1 and leg 2 in the continental competition, but it's still going to be a great game. LAFC had owned the Seattle Sounders. They hadn't lost in 10 games until the playoffs. Seattle Sounders knocked LAFC out of the playoffs, and now they play again to start 2025. For LAFC, I'm convinced that they can be in the Supporters Shield race. Usually teams in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, if you're making a deep run, that rules out the Supporters Shield because it's so difficult to play in all these competitions. But Inter Miami did it last year. Columbus Crew pushed Inter Miami for the Shield last year while making a run to the CCC final. I think LAFC can do that. I think they have the top-end talent, defensive structure, consistency, and enough depth. They signed Cengiz Ünder on loan. This is a player that is going to be a DP. He's got 51 caps for Turkey. This is a legitimate star, and they don't sacrifice any future flexibility. Plan A and Plan B is still Antoine Griezmann in the summer. Cengiz Ünder is contingency if that doesn't happen, and he's also the first 2/3 of the season, because the summer transfer window opens late in MLS, first 2/3 of the season, Cengiz Ünder is going to be an absolute star for this team. So they can sustain a lot of different competitions. They can be in the Shield race, and they can push for the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
So John Thorrington is absolutely bossing it with LFC in the front office.
Wheeling and dealing. John Thorrington, Neil McGuinness, all these guys, like, all they want to do is make good signings and rebuild the team every window. It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, John Thorrington making deals in the morning, surfing in the late afternoons. You know, he's always rolling through LAX with the surfboard. And Tommy Scoops, if they sign Antoine Griezmann, we'll have to do a poll to see who has the better mustache and man bun. You
it's him. It's
or
easy.
Griezmann.
That's easy. Don't worry about that. Thank you. That's very kind of you, but it's obviously him.
All right, we're going to go with the number one topic on your Big Five. I love undefeated teams. One of our former teams, Philadelphia Union, being one of them. Of these 5 unbeaten teams, which ones do you think will make it 3 in a row?
So 5 perfect teams. So the only 5 teams that went 2 for 2. We just talked about LAFC, so we'll leave them out of this for a second. There's Columbus Crew, Philadelphia Union, San Jose Earthquakes, Vancouver Whitecaps. A few of these teams are big surprises, particularly San Jose Earthquakes. With Bruce Arena in charge, they have a big test. They play Minnesota this weekend. I love this matchup because these are going to be 2 fun teams. Bruce Arena, he doesn't talk flowery about tactics or that side of the game. He's really blunt, and he's funny when he talks about all of these things. And he's like, tactics, whatever, right? But he's really, really smart. He knows how to set a team up. Eric Ramsey on the other side is this young rising manager. He was the youngest to get his UEFA A license or pro license, whichever it was. He's this wonder kid, intelligent, thoughtful. And then you have Bruce Arena, the power of friendship and vibes. I cannot wait for this game. What do you guys think? Philadelphia Union are playing the New England Revolution. The New England Revolution have not scored yet. Philly have put up 8 goals over 2 games. What happens if this is another blowout?
And the Revs signed Leo Campana, right, for a massive number. You would expect them to have at least some goals, but the fluidity hadn't been there. Now I ask you, Tom, Philly comes to town this weekend. The Revs also then play New York City away, New York Red Bulls, Cincy, at Atlanta, New York City again, at Charlotte, May 3rd at Toronto. If they go through this game, this gauntlet without some wins in there, what are we talking about here?
We're talking about the absolute scorching hot seat for Caleb Porter. Last year was a bit of a disaster. They brought it back this winter. They let Caleb Porter have his hands on rebuilding the team. And to his credit, he's said it in every press conference, hey, this is my team. There is no excuses. We got to get it right. We want to get it right. He's put himself on the line, as he should be on the line. If they struggle over this run, like you said, Charlie, those are a lot of difficult games. If they're struggling, if they're still towards the bottom of the East, going to be a whole lot of pressure because last year was a transition year. Last year was your bogey year. Say, okay, this wasn't my team yet. It was a team in flux. Everything else, we had to make some changes. They made their changes. They got to perform at the beginning of this season to alleviate some pressure.
Yeah, I want to give some love and some flowers even more to the Duke boys. The Philadelphia Union changed their coaches. I'm not chanting at the hell. Bradley Carnell comes from St. Louis, which he did a wonder job in his first year, and he's unlocking goals galore. Ty Baribo, talk to me about this guy, because if there's one criticism I had for Jim Curtin, he didn't play him soon enough.
Yeah, and Jim would even say that himself at press conference. He'd be asked about, hey, when is Ty Baribo playing, whatever, right? And then when Ty Baribo kind of exploded in the summer, he was like, look, he's not doing anything wrong. We just have so much competition and so many players. Like, he's working in training. I should be giving him more. Like, he was trying to shoulder the blame and deflect for his player. We were talking about Gasparini in the last segment. That's how you manage, by the way, is what Jim Curtin did. And I can't wait till he's back in the league whenever he so chooses. He could have had his pick of jobs this winter. Atlanta United called. He said, no, thank you. I want to take some time off. So Jim Curtin, that's the way to manage. And what this team is doing so far is extremely impressive. No, they're not going to score 4 goals a game each and every week, but I think this is a playoff team, and not anybody was saying that before the season.